The pale, distant light of Typhon cast long, eerie shadows across the icy surface of Triton. Dr. Mara Lynn adjusted her thermal suit, watching as her breath crystallized instantly in the frigid atmosphere. Even after years of interplanetary exploration, the chill of Neptune's largest moon still penetrated her bones in a way that no other world could. "Signal strength increasing. Dr. Lynn," called Jun Park from the communication station. "Whatever's transmitting, we're getting closer." Mara nodded, checking the coordinates on her wrist display. 150 years had passed since the last communication from the Triton colony. The settlement, once heralded as humanity's bold step into the outer solar system, had gone silent so suddenly that conspiracy theories still circulated throughout the planetary alliance. Some claimed Neptune's radiation had mutated the colonists. Others insisted corporate sabotage had doomed the outpost. The truth had remained buried beneath Triton's methane ice until now. "Captain Rourke, how much farther to the transmission source?" Mara asked, her voice steady despite the excitement churning in her stomach. After dedicating her career to studying abandoned space colonies, the prospect of uncovering Triton's secrets filled her with scholarly anticipation. Captain Elias Rourke, a weathered spacer with eyes that had seen too many void storms, consulted his navigation panel. "About 3 kilometers northeast, but the Major wants a word before we proceed." Mara suppressed a sigh. Major Ilya Kazan represented the military arm of their expedition, a necessity, according to the Planetary Council, though Mara considered his presence more hindrance than help. The archaeologist in her wanted preservation. The soldier in him wanted weaponization. The Major's imposing figure emerged from the shuttle, his stance rigid, even in the low gravity. "Dr. Lynn, I've been analyzing the signal pattern. It's not a distress call or automated beacon." "I never suggested it was," Mara replied coolly. "It's a map," Kazan continued, ignoring her tone. "A migration pattern, to be precise. Whatever's left of the colony isn't static. It's moving, and it's coming back." The words hung in the thin atmosphere between them. Coming back? From where? And more importantly, why now, after a century and a half of silence? "I want to approach the transmission source with a full security detail," Kazan stated, not asking but informing. Mara shook her head. "This is a scientific mission, Major. If there are survivors or descendants, a military welcome is hardly appropriate." "Survivors wouldn't have survived," Kazan said bluntly. "Not without significant adaptation or technology we don't understand. This could be a threat. Or it could be the greatest discovery in recent human history," Mara countered. "Captain Rourke, as expedition leader, I request we proceed with standard first contact protocols, minimal armaments, maximum scientific personnel." Rourke looked between them, his expression neutral. The Planetary Council gave Dr. Lynn operational command. "Major, we'll follow her approach, but your security team can establish a perimeter at a respectful distance." Kazan's jaw tightened, but he nodded curtly. "On your head be it, Doctor." As they prepared to depart, Jun approached Mara privately. The young engineer's eyes were bright with enthusiasm, barely contained beneath his professional demeanor. "Dr. Lynn, I've been analyzing some of the subfrequencies in the transmission. There are embedded data packets that suggest—" He hesitated, lowering his voice. "Genetic modifications. Human DNA spliced with something indigenous to Neptune's system." Mara felt a chill that had nothing to do with Triton's temperature. "You're sure?" "The markers are unmistakable. Whatever we find won't be entirely human, not in the traditional sense." "Keep this between us for now," Mara instructed. "And Jun, prepare your bioanalysis kit. If we're meeting hybrids, I want to understand exactly what we're dealing with." The expedition team set out across Triton's icy terrain, following the signal that grew stronger with each passing step. Mara led the way, her scientific curiosity warring with a growing sense of unease. The colony's disappearance had always been a mystery, perhaps one that humanity wasn't ready to solve. The abandoned communication relay station loomed before them like a ghost from another era. Its once gleaming surfaces were now dulled by decades of methane snow and nitrogen frost. The structure still stood, a testament to human engineering, but it was clearly no longer operational in its original capacity. "Life signs detected," announced one of Kazan's security officers, her weapon raised instinctively. "Stand down," Mara ordered sharply. "We're here to make contact, not initiate conflict." From the shadows of the relay station emerged a figure, unlike any Mara had expected. Tall and lithe, with skin that held a faint bluish tint. The being moved with a fluid grace that seemed almost supernatural in Triton's gravity. Most striking were the eyes, larger than human norm, with irises that shifted colors like Neptune's swirling clouds. "I am Aranef," the figure announced in perfectly accented Earth standard, though there was a musical quality to the voice that no human could naturally produce. "Leader of the Orphans, we've been expecting you." Mara stepped forward, conscious of Kazan's team tensing behind her. "I'm Dr. Mara Lin, representing the Planetary Council. We received your transmission." Aura's color-shifting eyes studied Mara intently. "You are the archaeologist, the one who studies the abandoned and forgotten. We are neither, Dr. Lin, though your people may have wished us so." "Our people?" Mara asked carefully. "Humanity," Aura clarified. "Our ancestors, though we have become something else in their absence, or perhaps because of it." More figures emerged from the station, each bearing the same subtle differences from baseline humanity. Some had more pronounced features, webbed fingers, gills visible at their necks, eyes with nictitating membranes. "Genetic modification," Kazan muttered behind her. "Extreme adaptation to Neptunian conditions." Aura heard him, despite the distance. "Not modification, evolution. Necessary survival. Your ancestors abandoned us with experimental biotechnology and limited resources. We did what was required." "Abandoned?" Mara questioned. According to historical records, communication had simply ceased. There had been no deliberate abandonment. "Come," Aura gestured toward the station entrance. "There is much to show you. Much you were never meant to know." Kazan stepped forward. "We need assurances of safety before—" "If we wished you harm, Major Kazan, you would already be dead," Era stated matter-of-factly. "Your weapons are ineffective against our biology, and we know this terrain intimately. We invite you as witnesses and record-keepers, not as threats or saviors." The statement sent a chill through the expedition team. How did this being know Kazan's name and rank? What else did they know about the mission? "We'll come," Mara decided, ignoring Kazan's glare. "As witnesses and scholars." Inside the relay station, evidence of the colony's fate began to emerge. The Orphans had transformed the facility into a living museum of sorts. Holographic records showed the early days of the colony, the first experiments with Neptune-adapted biology, and finally, the moment of abandonment. The Planetary Council ordered the evacuation but deliberately left behind 23 colonists. Aura explained, as the records played out. Those deemed too altered by the experimental procedures to safely return to human society. Our ancestors. Mara watched in horror as the historical record, one never included in official archives, showed supply ships departing, defensive systems being locked against the stranded colonists, and finally, a quarantine beacon being activated. "This can't be accurate," she insisted, though doubt had already taken root. "The Council would never—" "They feared what was being created here," Aura continued. "Human Neptunian hybrids capable of surviving extreme conditions, processing different atmospheric compounds, communicating through methods beyond standard human capacity. We were the future they weren't ready to face." Kazan had gone noticeably silent, his expression unreadable as he watched the records play out. "You know something," Mara accused him suddenly. "This isn't new information to you, is it?" The Major's eyes met hers coldly. "My clearance allows access to certain historical files that yours does not, Doctor. The Triton situation was classified as a potential biohazard. The decision was made to contain rather than risk contamination." "Contamination!" Jun exclaimed. "They were human beings." "Were being the operative word," Kazan replied. By that point, they had already begun significant genetic divergence. Ara observed the exchange with those unsettling, shifting eyes. And yet, here we are, 150 years later, not only surviving but thriving. We've mastered the biotechnology your ancestors abandoned. We've built a civilization beneath Triton's surface, drawing energy from Neptune's gravitational forces. "Why contact us now?" Mara asked. "After all this time?" "Because we're dying," came a new voice. Another orphan stepped forward, this one elderly by any standard, with skin that had faded to a pale, translucent blue. "I am Eldon, Memory Keeper. The adaptations that allowed us to survive have begun to fail in the 4th generation. Genetic drift, accelerated by our small population. We need new genetic material, new understanding of the original technology." "You want to return to human space," Mara realized. Ara nodded. "We wish to rejoin humanity, not as experiments or curiosities, but as equals, as the next branch of human evolution, adapted for the outer system." "Impossible," Kazan stated flatly. "The biohazard protocols are still in effect. The Council will never allow Neptunian hybrids to—" "We're already on our way," Era interrupted. "This facility is merely an outpost. Our main vessel, Orphans Dawn, departed Triton's far side 3 days ago, carrying 200 of our kind. This transmission was not just a message. It was a declaration. The revelation hit the expedition team like a shockwave. 200 genetically modified humans were already en route to the inner system, to Earth Neptune, the heart of human civilization. "You've forced our hand," Kazan said, his voice dangerous. "This will be seen as an invasion. Only by those who fear difference," Ara replied calmly. "We come seeking reconciliation, not conflict, but we will not ask permission to exist." Mara saw the situation deteriorating rapidly. "Major, stand down. Ara, we need time to communicate with the Council, to prepare for your arrival. Springing this on humanity without warning will only reinforce fears. We've waited 150 years. Dr. Lin," Eldon said softly. "Our children cannot wait longer." But the elder orphan held up a webbed hand. "We can offer you something in exchange for your advocacy. Knowledge of Neptune's energy core, a power source unlike anything humanity has harnessed." Jun's eyes widened. "You've tapped into Neptune's magnetic field? That's theoretically impossible without biological interfaces," Ara finished. "Our bodies serve as natural conductors for energies your technology cannot safely channel. But we can show you how to adapt your systems." The offer was stunning in its implications. Energy had become the limiting factor in humanity's expansion. A new source could revolutionize colonization efforts throughout the galaxy. "Take us to this energy source," Mara requested. "If I'm to advocate for you, I need to understand everything." Kazan stepped closer. "This is beyond your authority. Doctor, we need to alert the Council immediately about the approaching vessel." "And say what, exactly?" Mara challenged. "That we've discovered the descendants of colonists we abandoned, and now we're planning to reject them again? I want to see what they're offering before we make any judgments." The tension between them was palpable, but Rourke intervened. "We have 12 hours before our scheduled check-in with the orbital station. We can investigate within that time frame without raising alarms." Reluctantly, Kazan agreed. though Mara noticed him signaling discreetly to one of his officers. She would need to watch him carefully. The journey to the Orphans' underground civilization revealed marvels beyond Mara's wildest archaeological dreams. Tunnels, carved through Triton's ice, led to vast caverns illuminated by bioluminescent organisms. Structures grew, rather than were built. Living architecture that responded to the needs of its inhabitants. "We don't separate technology from biology," Era explained as they traveled deeper. "The distinction is uniquely human and limiting." The heart of the settlement was centered around what the Orphans called the Neptune column, a pillar of energy that rose from Triton's core, channeling Neptune's gravitational and magnetic forces into usable power. Orphans moved through the energy field unharmed, their adapted bodies filtering and processing the radiation that would kill an unmodified human instantly. "The interface technology is there." Era pointed to a series of structures surrounding the column. "Bioengineered translators that can convert Neptune's energy to forms your systems can utilize. This is our offering. Sustainable power for all human worlds." Jun was already scanning, his expression odd. "This output it's beyond anything we've achieved. This could power the entire Earth-Neptune system for centuries, without depletion." While the scientists marveled, Mara noticed Kazan had disappeared. Scanning the cavern, she spotted him near what appeared to be a control interface, one of his officers transferring data to a portable device. "What are you doing?" she demanded, approaching rapidly. Kazan didn't bother hiding his actions. "My mission parameters include technology acquisition. Doctor, I'm doing my job." "Without understanding the systems you're interfacing with? This is reckless." The Major straightened, towering over her. "What's reckless is allowing 200 genetic anomalies to approach Earth-Neptune without defense preparations. I've already sent a priority alert. The Council is dispatching interception vessels." "You had no right!" Mara's voice echoed through the cavern, drawing attention from the Orphans. "I had every right. These creatures represent unknown biological capabilities developed without oversight. Their claim of peaceful intentions is irrelevant." Ara approached, the shifting colors in her eyes now fixed to a deep, stormy blue. "You've betrayed our trust." "There was no trust to betray," Kazan replied. "You're the descendants of a failed experiment. Nothing more. Your biotechnology belongs to the Council. It was developed with Council resources." "And perfected through our suffering," Eldon added, joining them. "What else have you done, Major? What other betrayals have you set in motion?" A tremor ran through the cavern, subtle at first, then growing in intensity. Alert signals began flashing throughout the settlement. "Energy spike in the Neptune column," Jun reported, checking his instruments. "Something's interfering with the regulatory systems." Ara's expression transformed to one of horror. "You've activated the Purge Protocol, the failsafe left by your ancestors to destroy us if we ever became too advanced." Kazan's face revealed nothing, but his silence was confirmation enough. "Evacuate the settlement," Era ordered her people. "Emergency protocols, now!" As Orphans rushed to comply, Mara grabbed Kazan's arm. "What have you done?" "What was always intended," he answered coldly. "The Triton experiment was never meant to survive this long. I'm simply executing the contingency plan." "These are people," Mara shouted. "Evolved, different, but still human at their core." "That's a philosophical distinction the Council isn't prepared to make," Kazan replied. "The risk is too great." The Neptune column's energy was visibly destabilizing. Arcs of blue-green power lashing out like lightning. The temperature in the cavern began to rise, as Triton's ice sublimated directly to gas. "We need to reach the surface," Rourke urged, gathering the expedition team. "This whole structure could collapse." Jun was working frantically with several Orphans at a control interface. "The Purge Protocol is biological. It's targeting the Neptune-adapted DNA directly. It's not just destroying the settlement. It's designed to eliminate the Orphans themselves." The horror of the situation became clear. This wasn't just sabotage. It was genocide, the completion of a plan set in motion generations ago. "Can it be stopped?" Mara demanded. "Not remotely," one of the orphans replied. "The failsafe was designed to prevent electronic override. Then we do it manually," Aura decided. "I can enter the column and disrupt the protocol from within. My biology can withstand the energy long enough." "It will kill you," Eldon warned. "Better one than all," Era replied. "And better me than the hope of our future aboard the Orphans' Dawn." As Aura prepared to enter the deadly energy field, Mara made a decision. Wait, the purge targets Neptune-adapted DNA. What about original human DNA as a countermeasure? Jun caught her meaning immediately. A genetic key. If the system was designed to eliminate the hybrids, pure human genetic material might register as an override authentication. "I need a direct cellular sample," Aura said, understanding dawning. "Blood, with active DNA." Without hesitation, Mara removed her glove and sliced her palm with a sample collection tool. "Will this do?" Aura took Mara's bleeding hand. "It might, but I still need to enter the column to apply it to the core interface. The radiation—" "My suit can withstand short exposure," Mara insisted. "I'm going with you." "This is insane," Kazan interjected. "Lin, I order you to evacuate immediately." "I don't take orders from you," Mara responded. "Captain Rourke, get everyone else to the surface. If we're not back in 20 minutes, we'll come looking," Rourke promised. As the evacuation proceeded, Mara and Aura approached the now violently fluctuating Neptune column. The energy discharges had increased, scorching the cavern walls and destroying nearby structures. "The interface is at the column's base," Aura explained, leading Mara toward the pulsing energy. "Once there, we'll need to apply your blood directly to the bioreceptor." The heat was nearly unbearable as they approached. Mara's suit alarms blared warnings about radiation levels and temperature, but she pushed forward. This was more than an archaeological discovery now. It was about righting a historical wrong, about ensuring that humanity's future included all its branches, not just those deemed acceptable by authorities. "Why are you doing this?" Aura asked as they crouched behind a final barrier, preparing to make their dash to the column. "Your people abandoned mine. Your major tried to destroy us. Why risk your life?" Mara met those shifting eyes steadily. "Because history is written by those who survive to tell it. Your people deserve to tell their story, not have it erased by those who fear difference." Together, they plunged toward the column. The energy field hit Mara like a physical wall, her suit struggling to compensate for the radiation surge. Every step was agony as they fought their way to the base interface, a pulsing, organic-looking apparatus that had begun to deteriorate under the purge protocol's influence. "There!" Era pointed to a receptacle that resembled nothing so much as a mouth. "The interface needs living cells to recognize the command authority." Mara pressed her still bleeding palm against the strange orifice, feeling a disturbing sensation as it seemed to suckle at her wound. Aura placed her hands on either side of Mara's, their blood mingling in the interface. "Override protocol." Era spoke in a language Mara didn't recognize, something that sounded like music rather than words. "Accept dual authentication. Purge aborted." For a terrible moment, nothing happened. The column continued its violent fluctuations, energy discharges intensifying around them. Then, gradually, the pattern changed. The angry flares receded, replaced by a steady, rhythmic pulse. The color shifted from harsh blue-white to a softer aquamarine. "It's stabilizing," Aura confirmed, relief evident in her voice. "The purge is retracting." But the damage had already been done. Part of the cavern ceiling had collapsed, and the temperature changes had compromised structural integrity throughout the settlement. Even as the immediate threat of the purge faded, the danger of complete collapse remained. "We need to get out of here," Mara urged, her suit now reporting critical damage to its protective systems. They staggered away from the column, both weakened by radiation exposure. The cavern continued to rumble ominously around them, chunks of ice crashing down in their path. "There's another way," Ara said, pulling Mara down a side passage as their original route was blocked by debris. "Emergency ascent tubes." The tubes turned out to be organic transport systems, living elevators that responded to the Orphan's touch. Ara placed her hand against one, and a membrane opened, revealing a vertical shaft. "It will recognize you as friendly now," she assured Mara. "Your DNA is in the system." The ascent was disorienting, a combination of biological propulsion and gravitational manipulation that sent them hurtling upward through Triton's ice layers. Mara fought nausea and radiation sickness as they traveled, her vision blurring at the edges. They emerged onto Triton's surface, nearly a kilometer from the original entry point. The expedition team's emergency beacons were visible in the distance. Their shuttle prepped for immediate departure. "Made it," Mara murmured, her strength failing as the adrenaline faded. The radiation exposure was taking its toll, faster than she'd anticipated. Ara supported her as they trudged across the icy terrain, both moving more slowly with each step. By the time they reached the expedition team, Mara could barely stand. "Get her to medical," Rourke ordered as they arrived. "Radiation protocols. Highest priority." "Kazan," Mara managed to ask as medics rushed to assist her. "Detained," Rourke replied grimly. His actions constituted unauthorized deployment of a biological weapon. The Council will want explanations. As emergency treatment began, Mara drifted in and out of consciousness. She was vaguely aware of Jun working with the orphan medical specialists, applying treatments that seemed to combine traditional medicine with biotechnology unique to Triton. "Will she survive?" she heard someone ask. "Yes," came the confident reply in Ara's distinctive voice. "She has part of Neptune in her now. The column's energy, while dangerous, also carries adaptive properties. She'll recover, though perhaps not entirely as she was." The implications of that statement didn't fully register through Mara's pain and delirium. All that mattered was that they had stopped the purge, that the Orphans still had a chance at reconciliation with humanity. Days later, aboard the expedition vessel in orbit around Neptune, Mara awoke fully lucid for the first time since the incident. Her room was filled with strange, bioluminescent plants, gifts from the Orphans. Jun explained when he came to check on her. "How bad is it?" she asked, noting the concern in his expression. "The radiation damage was extensive," he admitted. "But the orphan treatments have been remarkably effective. Your cellular structure is adapting." "Adapting how?" Jun hesitated. "Your DNA shows signs of integration with Neptunian genetic markers. Nothing as pronounced as the Orphans. But you're changing, Dr. Lin, at a molecular level." The news should have terrified her, but Mara felt only a strange sense of completion. "And the Orphan's dawn. Has the Council intercepted it?" "That's the most surprising development," Jun said, his expression brightening. "The Council voted to allow the ship to approach Earth-Neptune under observation. Your transmission from Triton, the one detailing the original abandonment and subsequent cover-up, caused quite the political upheaval." "I don't remember sending any transmission," Mara confessed. "You didn't. Captain Rourke did, using your authentication codes. He said history needed all perspectives, not just the convenient ones." Mara smiled weakly. She would need to thank Rourke properly when she was stronger. "And Kazan?" Jun's expression darkened. "Under investigation. The evidence suggests he knew about the purge protocol all along, that retrieving and activating it was part of his classified orders. There are those on the Council who still believe the Orphans represent a threat, but they're increasingly in the minority." Over the following weeks, as the expedition vessel made its way back toward Earth-Neptune, Mara's recovery progressed at an astonishing rate. The Neptunian adaptations in her system accelerated healing, though they came with other changes. A slight blue tint to her skin in certain light, enhanced night vision, sensitivity to magnetic fields. She was not becoming an orphan, exactly, but neither was she still fully the human she had been. The transformation gave her a unique perspective, a bridge between two branches of humanity that had evolved separately for generations. When they finally reached Earth Neptune, the Orphans' dawn had already arrived. The great vessel, a living ship that resembled a massive nautilus, orbited the planet, its very existence challenging humanity's definitions of technology and biology. The reception was mixed. Scientists were enthralled by the biotechnology the Orphans offered, particularly the Neptune energy interfaces that promised to revolutionize power generation. Military and security forces remained wary, establishing strict protocols for interaction. Religious groups debated whether the Orphans had souls, while ethicists argued about their rights and legal status. Through it all, Mara served as intermediary and advocate. Her partial transformation gave her credibility with both sides. She understood human fears and orphan capabilities in equal measure. They want to establish a joint colony, she explained to the council during a crucial hearing. Not integration into existing human settlements, but a new beginning where both branches can learn from each other. They bring Neptune's energy. We bring genetic diversity they need for survival. And what guarantee do we have that this energy won't be weaponized? Asked Councillor Vega, one of Kazan's most vocal supporters. The same guarantee you have, that any technology won't be misused, Mara replied evenly. The Orphans have survived abandonment and attempted genocide. They understand the value of peace better than many humans. The debate continued for months, but ultimately, pragmatism won out. The biotechnology the Orphans offered was too valuable to reject, and the ethical implications of denying them sanctuary were too damning for a civilization that prided itself on enlightenment. 1 year after the Triton expedition, Mara stood on the observation deck of the newly established Harmony Station. Below, on Earth Neptune's northernmost continent, the foundations of New Triton were taking shape, a settlement designed for both human and orphan physiology, centered around the first Neptune energy column, installed off Triton. Aura joined her at the viewport, her shifting eyes reflecting the blue-green glow of the planet below. "Does it hurt still?" she asked, gesturing to the faint blue veining now visible on Mara's hands, the most obvious sign of her transformation. "Only when I try to be entirely human," Mara answered honestly. "Or entirely orphan. I'm neither, but somehow both. As is humanity's future," Aura observed. "Neither purely as we were, nor entirely as your ancestors feared we might become. Something new, born from both branches." Kazan's trial had concluded the previous month. The evidence of his knowledge and participation in the attempted genocide had been irrefutable, but so too had been the proof that he acted under orders from elements within the council itself. The scandal had forced resignations and reforms, opening the way for a more inclusive definition of humanity. "Eldon has finished the historical archives," Aura mentioned. "The complete record of the lost colony, from abandonment to return. He wants you to review them before public release." "I'd be honored," Mara said. As both archaeologist and participant, her perspective on the Orphans' journey was uniquely valuable. The last chapter of Eldon's account was already titled, "From Ashes to Hope," a fitting description of the Orphans' journey from abandoned experiment to recognized branch of humanity's future. As Neptune's light caught the faint blue tint of her skin, Mara reflected that it was her journey now, too. Not just to document history, but to embody it, to bridge the gap between what humanity had been and what it might become among the stars. The Orphans had returned, not as lost children seeking their parents' approval, but as evolved beings offering a new path forward. And humanity, after initial fear and resistance, was beginning to recognize that its future, among the stars, would require many forms, many adaptations, a diversity of bodies and minds united by a common origin and purpose. From her unique position between worlds, Mara would help write the next chapter of that shared story, not as orphans abandoned by their creators, but as pioneers of a more inclusive definition of humanity, one that embraced difference rather than feared it, that saw adaptation as strength rather than deviation. The Neptune column on the planet below pulsed with steady, life-giving energy, a beacon for a future where technology and biology, human and Neptunian, existed not in conflict but in harmony. A future worth fighting for, worth changing for, worth becoming something new for